The greatest combi in all of manga is back. The much vaunted, much respected, and highly loved Ohba and Obata sensei, the creators that brought me two of my all-time favorite manga, Death Note and Bakuman, are finally back with their new work, Platinum End, dude. Yo, this first chapter! You guys have seen the video. If you've seen the videos that I've made, you know, after hearing the announcement of this series and building up to this first chapter, I've been highly... This is probably the most hype first chapter for a new series that I've had in a long time, dude. Like, yo, it's real right now. And this chapter did not disappoint. From the characters, the setup, the artwork, Obata's going in, and I trust Ohba wholeheartedly to craft an incredible scenario and have the pacing and development be insane. So even though there is a thread of cliche that I see in this first episode, and it's nothing, you know, mind-blowing, the setup and everything kind of hearkening to a mix between, you know, the setup they had with Death Note, kind of blended with Mirai Nikki in a way, because that's instantly what I thought of once I heard of this election of the new god that Nacha was talking about before we even got to those ending pages. Even with that kind of cliche setup, the ways in which this can go, the way in which Mirai's character can develop, and how real this first episode truly was when I look at it. It definitely has that Death Note tone and vibe, especially with Mirai's abilities and powers, but this whole god election and the 13 angels, you know, choosing a candidate and everything like that, yo, I love shit like this. I absolutely love shit like this, and it's going to go in, aside from whatever resolve that Mirai, you know, takes a hold of, and maybe his character is somewhat reminiscent of Light in a way, you know, with what he tries to do, and the whole, you know, concept and overarching theme of the pursuit of happiness and what that means, and how, you know, Mirai is going to internalize that and what that will mean for his resolve and his goals going forward for the future, now that he's resolved himself to live, playing off of those words that his mother left him after he had given up on everything and resolved himself to die. The progression and pacing, this first chapter and the setup, was amazing. It was amazing, even with the cliche and even with, you know, nothing utterly mind-blowing or completely crazy happening, because the artwork wasn't like some god level. Like, Obata can go even harder than this, and we will see that, but it was still clean as fuck. It was still utterly beautiful, and this showcases why Obata is in my top 10 favorite mangaka for their artwork of all time, and why Ohba crafts the greatest scenarios, and why this combi is the greatest, you know? So let's dive into the chapter, kind of talk about the scenario and everything like that, and how I'm feeling about it. First of all, I know people are gonna be like, yo, where'd you read the chapter? Where'd you read the chapter? I can't tell you that. I'm sorry, I can't tell you that, but you can find it. You guys can definitely find it. Help each other out if you can, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But basically, for those of you that want to know what the scenario is looking like and everything like that, the chapter opens up, our main character, Mirai, has basically given up all hope on life and decides to commit suicide by jumping off this building before being saved by this angel, Nacha. And basically, Nacha, who reveals that she's been watching over him this whole time, promises to give him two things: happiness and love, and bestows these powers upon him, which the whole time Mirai's just like, just let me die, just let me fall, I have nothing to live for. And as Nacha reveals more and more about what she knows about having watched his entire life for whatever reason, and why Nacha so genuinely cares about Mirai, we don't know, even seeing in those final pages that she's like, yo, like, finally maybe I can finally bring him happiness now that I've become one of the 13 angels to select candidates. I don't know if there's any sort of twisted endgame to that as far as Nacha's concerned, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But getting the revelation of why Mirai wanted to commit suicide, having his parents, you know, die in the past, and being, you know, adopted by his aunt and uncle, and being in an abusive household who they basically made him their slave. They didn't feed him, they didn't give him any love or attention or even proper living conditions, and he had given up on it. His life had become utter hell after the death of his parents, and he forgot entirely what happiness even meant and what the goal of being alive that his mother had imbued him in the past really was. And then it even gets more twisted when Nacha, after giving him these abilities, which she gives him the ability to fly, angel's wings, and as well as this red arrow, which anyone he shoots with, at first I was like, what could be behind this ability? But once we see it exactly, because she says at first, you know, whoever you shoot with this arrow, will be exactly like you for 33 days. And I'm wondering if that's about the translation and it was a bit off, because basically what happens when he shoots his aunt, for example, with this arrow, anyone he shoots with this arrow for 33 days, kind of similar to the stipulations of the Death Note in a way, kind of with how these powers work, you know, fall utterly in love with, you know, Mirai. Not in terms of, like, you know, kind of a romantic sense, but they're just infatuated with him. They like him. They will do anything and everything he says. They basically serve him on some Gya shit, invertedly going to, like, Lush or something like that. And to the point where no matter what he asks his aunt, she reveals it. When he says to go and die, I wish people like you would die, his aunt kills herself, just stabs herself straight up in the neck with the blade. I was like, yo. But getting the revelation that the uncle actually set up the, you know, rigged the car to explode and killed off Mirai's, you know, parents just to get the insurance money from that and shit. I was like, yo, this shit is so real and fiendish. And after his aunt having killed himself based on those words and feeling the shock of what death truly is, seeing a life snuffed out in front of his eyes, I feel as though Mirai can either go down that kind of Yagami Light path, or he can have his own kind of niche and move forward in this pursuit of happiness. Who knows what he's going to try and do, and that's the thing about this. Whatever he's going to be trying to do, whether it's, you know, I'm going to make the world a better place along those lines and purge people like you know, manipulate people with the arrow, because Nacha in of herself, and I love the dialogue and how they kind of operate as angels in the fact that it's not some sort of quest for justice. She's telling him, use your abilities to go steal things and make yourself happy, manipulate people as you see fit. Also, the line about there not being demons in this universe, basically confirming it. She's like, demons only exist within the human soul and everything. The construction of how they have this sense of heaven and how God is created and everything like that, I find it extremely interesting. I can't wait to see this kind of survival. That's why I get the Mirai Nikki vibes, because the survival game aspect that will probably take place between the 13 candidates is going to be real, and each one of them is probably going to have their own end game, their own perception of gathering the happiness as the God that is in place right now says, and everything like that, and what their endgame is. So seeing Mirai's pursuit, seeing him develop, and seeing what he's going to try to do with this ability is something that wholeheartedly interests me. And then on top of that, we have the endgame and the movements of the 12 other candidates, which will be central to the entirety of the series, with their angels and this battle to become God, which lasts, I believe that they said, like 900 days or something like that along those lines. So this series, yo, this new Shounen, man, and I wish, I really wish that it was in WSJ, in Weekly Shonen Jump, and not in SQ, because now it's monthly. I would love for this to be a weekly serialization and be going in on it, dude. But, I mean, at least we have the Obata and Ohba greatness, and if it's monthly, I'm guessing we're probably going to get somewhere around 40 to 50 pages per chapter. Hopefully we get around 40 or 50 pages per chapter. And I'm just really, even with the cliche that I see in the series, and even hearkening to different things that I've seen before, I know and I trust Ohba wholeheartedly to make its whole unique and find its niche and go in. So I can't, and the characters wholly intrigue me right now. So I can't wait to see this story grow and get into it. It's gonna be fucking amazing, dude. This first chapter just has me captivated, from the dialogue to the stark reality of the situation to the powers and setup to Nacha's potential endgame, the other, you know, 12 god candidates and everything like that. It's gonna be a beast, right? It's gonna be fucking awesome, dude. Let's go. Let's fucking go, dude. Platinum End Chapter 1. You already know I'm going to be reviewing this series whenever the chapters are out and everything like that. If you've read the chapter, let me know your thoughts, how you're feeling about this first chapter and everything like that. And if you haven't, I highly recommend you go check it out, find it. Let's go. It's no joke right now. It's the greatest combi in all of manga. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts on this chapter, and I'm out. Peace.